We're out here at Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue Headquarters in Boise with Ron Christensen. He's the vice president. We're talking about what you need to bring with you, the essentials when you head out into the backcountry, because a lot of people do end up in these hard situations, don't they?
They do, and we do a lot of events throughout the community that are safety education related, and we try to give people ideas and tips on the things they want to take into the backcountry. I've got some in my pack that I will show. Before I do that, though, I guess one of the most important things is that you have a plan. You let somebody know where you're going, what your route of travel is, when you expect to return, because in the event there is something that happens to you, somebody at home knows and they can alert the appropriate authorities.
Right.
So, our 24-hour pack, obviously bigger than what most people are going to take into the backcountry because we're obviously using it for other reasons, but some things that are going to be constant in everybody's thinking of going to the backcountry. You're going to want to have some hydration. In the winter, especially important. People don't feel as thirsty, they don't think they need to drink as much, but with your respiration and exertion, you're going to need to rehydrate yourself. So do have water.
Okay, water.
You're also going to want to have some illumination, some light. It not only provides just comfort and peace of mind, but it's also a safety factor. When we go out, we carry actually backup lights, and then we have additional batteries because we could be out for an extended period of time. We want to be able to illuminate through that time.
Okay.
You want to have a means of fire starting, and that could be as simple as waterproof matches, a lighter, or even just a flint and steel, and then you'd want to have some way to maintain that flame until you got fuel on it. So cotton with Vaseline jelly or some lint would be some alternatives.
You want to be careful with lighters. They don't
You want to
always
be
work, right?
Yeah, you want to be careful with lighters, especially when you get into very cold weather. The butane in those lighters kind of gels, it doesn't always ignite, so you'd certainly want to have a backup source. Don't just rely on a lighter when you're out in the wintertime.
Okay, that's good to know.
And you're also going to want to have a means of navigation. I mean, you want to have a map of where you're going. You want to have a compass, and you want to be able to know how to use it. Some people use GPSs, and that's great, but you still want to have a compass as a backup because a GPS is an electronic device. It can fail, the batteries can die. A whistle is also an important thing. If you are out and needing help, yelling for an extended period of time is something that you're not able to do. But blowing a whistle you could do for a long period of time, and that noise will cut above a lot of the other background noise so that searchers could possibly find you that way.
Okay.
Layered clothing is something that's important. If you're going out in the winter, one of the things you want is to not use cotton clothing. You want to use synthetics, wools, capilines, those type of things, because it will wick moisture away. Cotton will retain moisture, and it can literally freeze up on your body. So you want to have a good base layer. You want to have some type of insulative layer, an additional down jacket,
Okay.
or a fleece. And then you want to have some type of shell layer, just something that's going to shed wind or water.
You need to stay dry. That's
You
really
need to stay
essential,
dry.
isn't it?
It's very important. Food is another important item. It's equal to hydration. I have enough food in here that I could spend a couple of days in the backcountry, and also if we find somebody in the backcountry that would need some nourishment, we have some extra food. But bring food that you're going to like to eat. You know, if you have some type of energy bar and you have no interest in eating it, well then bring something else. You want to be able to enjoy what you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Would you say just a couple bars with you?
Depending on what your plan was, what your
Okay.
extended time was in the backcountry. You want to have first aid kit, and I've got obviously one larger than what would be necessary going out for yourself, but you want to have something that you could take care of any kinds of cuts or lacerations that you might encounter in the field. Obviously, if you're on any kind of medications, you want to make sure that you have your medications when you go into the backcountry as well. And then we also carry some temporary shelters with us. It could be a tarp. You could lay out as a ground shelter. You could wrap it around yourself as a weather shelter. You could teepee it up to give you something to crawl under. Or it could be a bivy sack. In some cases, just going out for a day hike, it could be as simple as just bringing a large trash bag. It would be something that you could cut a hole for your head, and you're going to protect your body from the elements if you should be out in some inclement weather.
Okay.
So.
And a bivy sack, for people who don't know what that is, can you explain that a little bit?
A bivy sack is just kind of a temporary shelter that you can crawl into that's almost like a sleeping bag cover. It's typically water and wind repellent, and I've spent some unexpected nights out in the backcountry with it, and it's not necessarily comfortable, but it does keep you alive.
Yeah, it keeps you warm.
Exactly, exactly. You want to have protection for your eyes. You want to have sunglasses, something like that, or if you're skiing, obviously some goggles. You want to carry sunscreen. With snow, you're obviously not only getting the sunlight, but you're getting radiation off of that sun, reflection off of that snow, and so you want to be able to protect yourself from sunburn. You want to have something that you could keep your lips moist and protected as well. And then when we go into the snow, winter's just a little bit different. You want to make sure that you have appropriate snow travel, whether it be snowshoes, snow skis, whatever your travel of choice would be. And then important when going out into backcountry where there's the potential of avalanche is a beacon, and you want to make sure that you and any of your partners have beacons, they're compatible with one another, and you know how to use them. A shovel in the event of any type of companion rescue that you might need to encounter.
And not a cheap plastic one.
Not a
It needs
cheap.
to be heavy duty.
It's got to be a metal one, something that you can put on your backpack and have accessible very quickly. And then you want to have a probe, something that's going to allow you to, if you got into that situation, be able to search for that person. So that's kind of the essentials that we carry in our backpacks. Again, we have more and larger items than most people are typically going to do, but it's going to give you the basis of the things that you're going to want to take into the backcountry.
So Ron, what would you say is the number one thing people may forget? Or does it really vary?
It varies. It varies. You want to know what the conditions are where you're going. You want to be aware of what the forecast is to where you're going. We've had some experiences, especially at the shoulder seasons, where people have gone up to Bogus Basin and it's very dry and warm on a south or westerly exposure, and as they start walking around the mountain they encounter snow and they might not be prepared for that, with improper footwear and shorts rather than any kind of insulative clothing, and you can get in trouble real fast that way.
It's good to have a plan and then check with people who know that it's a good plan.
Correct.
Or that it's not a good plan.
Correct.
Right.
So.
Okay. And your number one advice for people, we've talked about this a couple times during this, is really having things mapped out and telling someone where you're going.
You want people to know where you're at and when you're expected to be back.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, in the event you got into trouble and you needed assistance, it could be like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Yeah. And you guys are in that situation multiple times a year, aren't you?
We are.
Yeah.
We are. So.
Well, we're glad you're around to help folks who do get in those situations. Of course, you guys are nonprofit.
We're nonprofit. We're all volunteers, and we just all come together. We enjoy the camaraderie that we have in the unit. We enjoy the time we spend together training and on missions, and we like being outdoors and we like being able to help others.
Okay. Ron, thanks for doing this. And if someone's wondering where they could get all of these supplies, would it be really any type of outdoor supply store?
Sure, any place that sells any outdoor recreational gear. There's a number of outlets, within town, and You know, they're available in lots of different styles, lots of different price points, so
Okay. It's important to be prepared, though.
it is.
Yeah. All right.